The water scarcity in Bengaluru is turning to be a pressing issue as the consumption of water per capita is on rise, whereas groundwater levels are low. Good afternoon, I'm Shubhangi Mishra and you're watching D3. Discuss, debate, decode. Today, we'll be talking about the water scarcity issue in the city and if the Mekadatu Dam on the Kaveri River will solve the problem. Niti Aayog predicted that Bengaluru would run out of groundwater by 2020. Even though this hasn't happened yet, there's high possibility of it happening soon. Residents of Bengaluru face a daily problem in accessing continuous water supply. This issue only seems to be growing and its need to be discussed more. This translates to an ever-increasing demand for water in the city. To battle this problem, the construction of the Mekadatu Reservoir was announced in 2013. Its primary aim was to supply drinking water to Bengaluru and surrounding areas and also to generate hydroelectric power. Mekadatu has come into the light once again because of the Padyatra rally organized by the Congress recently to support it. Jawaharlal Nehru famously said, "Dams are the temple of the modern India." Do dams really do more good than the harm they cause? Is Mekadatu the answer to Bengaluru's water problem? What environmental impact will the project have? What happens to the settlements around the dam that needs to be relocated? To answer these questions and help us understand the problem better, I am joined today by Dr. Krishnamurthy KV, a president of the Karu forest-based tribe, Mr. M.G. Sudhindra, who is a spokesperson for the Karnataka Pradesh Congress Committee, and Professor Nagesh Hegde, who is an environmentalist. Let me begin with you, Dr. Krishnamurthy. How do you think, how bad is Bengaluru's water problem? What do you think of the Mekadatu project and about its efficiency?
ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈಗ ಈ ಮೇಕೆದಾಟು ಯೋಜನೆ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಒಂದ್ ರೀತಿ ಇದೊಂದು ರಾಜಕೀಯ ಧಾರಣೆ ಮತ್ತು ರಾಜಕೀಯ ಹೋರಾಟವಾಗಿ ಇತ್ತೀಚಿನ ದಿನಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಗುರುತಿಸ್ತಾ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ಒಂದ್ ಕಡೆ ಹೌದು, ಮೇಕೆದಾಟು ಯೋಜನೆ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಫಲಾನುಭವಿಗಳ ಅಪೇಕ್ಷೆಗಳು ಬಹಳ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾರು ಇದೀಗ ಮೇಕೆದಾಟು ಯೋಜನೆ ಯಾರಿಗ್ ಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ ಅನ್ನತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ. ಮೊದಲನೇದಾಗಿ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಜನತೆ ನಮಗೆ ನೀರು ಈಗ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಏನು ಕಾವೇರಿ KRS ಡ್ಯಾಮ್ಗಳಿಂದ ನೀರನ್ನು ಸಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ನಿರಂತರ ಸಪ್ಲೈ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಅದು ಕನಕಪುರ ಮಾರ್ಗವಾಗಿ ಮಳವಳ್ಳಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಆರ್ವಳ್ಳಿ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ಸಪ್ಲೈ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಬಟ್ ಈ ಮೇಕೆದಾಟು ಯೋಜನೆಯ ಹಿಂದೆ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಉದ್ದೇಶವಾದ್ರೂ ಏನು? ಈ ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಪಕ್ಷ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಇವತ್ತು ಒಂದು ಸಾಮಾಜಿಕ ಮತ್ತು ಒಂದು ಸೆಕ್ಯುಲರಿಸಂ ನ ಹಿನ್ನೆಲೆಯಿಂದ ಬಂದಂತ ಪಕ್ಷ ಇವತ್ತು ಏನಾಗ್ತಿದೆ, ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಬಲ ವರ್ಗದ ರಾಜಕಾರಣಿಗಳ ಹಿನ್ನೆಲೆಯಿಂದ ಏನಾಗ್ತಿದೆ, ಇದು ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಒಂದ್ ಕಡೆ ಒಂದು ಅಧಿಕಾರ ಕೇಂದ್ರಿತ ವರ್ಗ ರೀತಿ ಮಾರ್ಪಡುತ್ತಾ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಇದೇನಾಗ್ತಿದೆ, ಇವತ್ತು ಇದು ಅಣೆಕಟ್ಟು ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಅಗತ್ಯ ಯಾರಿಗಿದೆ? ಇಲ್ಲಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ನಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಕೃತಿ ಸಂಪತ್ತುಗಳನ್ನ, ಅಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಂತ ಆದಿವಾಸಿ ಬುಡಕಟ್ಟು ಸಮುದಾಯಗಳನ್ನ ಮತ್ತು ತಳ ಸಮುದಾಯಗಳು, ಅಲ್ಲಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ SC ST ಅದರ್ ಮೈನಾರಿಟಿ ಮತ್ತು OBC ಕ್ಯಾಟಗರಿ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಸಮುದಾಯಗಳನ್ನ ಒಕ್ಕಲೆಬ್ಬಿಸಿ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾ? ಬಹಳ ಪ್ರಮುಖವಾಗಿ. ಎರಡನೇದಾಗಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಂತ ಒಂದು ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ರಿಸೋರ್ಸಸ್ ಏನಿದೆ, ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಿನರಲ್ಸ್ ಗಳೇನಿದೆ ಮತ್ತು ಅಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಂತ ಟ್ರೈಬಲ್ ಗಾಡ್ಸ್ ಟೆಂಪಲ್ಸ್ ಗಳು, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಟ್ರೈಬಲ್ ರಿಚುವಲ್ಸ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸಸ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಟ್ರೈಬಲ್ ಡೆತ್ ರಿಚುವಲ್ಸ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸಸ್ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಇವೆಲ್ಲವೂ ಕೂಡ ನಾಶ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಂತ ಈ ಕಾವೇರಿ ಹೋರಾಟ ಮತ್ತೆ ಏನಿದು ಮೇಕೆದಾಟು ಹೋರಾಟದ ಹಿಂದೆ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ರಾಜಕಾರಣಿಗಳು ಈ ಸತತ 7 ರಿಂದ 8 ವರ್ಷಗಳು ರಾಮನಗರ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಯನ್ನು ಪ್ರತಿನಿಧಿಸಿ ಒಂದು ರಾಜ್ಯ ಮತ್ತು ದೇಶದ ಮಟ್ಟದಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಗುರುತಿಸಿಕೊಂಡಂತ ರಾಜಕಾರಣಿಗಳು ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಇವರಿಗೆ ಈಗ ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಒಕ್ಕಲೆಬ್ಬಿಸಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ನಾನು ಪುನರ್ವಸತಿಯನ್ನ ರಿಹಾಬಿಲಿಟೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಭರವಸೆಯನ್ನ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಬಟ್ ಇವತ್ತಿನವರೆಗೂ ರಾಮನಗರ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಸುಮಾರು 5 ಬುಡಕಟ್ಟು ಸಮುದಾಯಗಳು ಬರ್ತವೆ. ಇರುಳಿಗ, ಸೋಲಿಗ, ಮೇಧ, ಅಕ್ಕಿಪಿಕ್ಕಿ ಸಮುದಾಯಗಳು ಏನಿದೆ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಈ ಸಮುದಾಯಗಳಿಗೆ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ? ಸುಮ್ನೆ ಇವರ ರಾಜಕೀಯ ಹಿತಾಸಕ್ತಿಗೋಸ್ಕರ ಏನಂತಂದ್ರೆ ರಾಜಕೀಯ ಹಿತಾಸಕ್ತಿಗೆ ಇವ್ರು ಒಕ್ಕಲೆಬ್ಬಿಸಿ ಇವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅನ್ನತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ನಂಬಿಕೆ ನಮ್ಮ. ಮೇಡಮ್, ಟೆಲ್ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್.
Okay. Coming to the Mekadatu and its problem or its efficiency, I would like to speak to Mr. Sudhindra. We have seen that Congress has been very vocal in their support when it comes to Mekadatu project. So, sir, wanted to know what is your take on the issue. If you'll be able, can you give us some insight about how efficient is the project?
Dr. Krishnamurthy, in his opening address, actually scored a direct point by making it very political. But anyway, first I welcome all my fellow guests. Welcome you, Shubhangi, as well as Vinya, who was coordinating with me. Warm welcome to all of you. Thanks for having me here. See, in the first case, let us have a small introduction. See, Karnataka has a glorious history, actually, in utilizing the river waters for the very good benefits of our citizens. We have a glorious history, whether it is the great Krishnaraja Odayar IV or the Sir M. Vishweswaraya. While KRS Dam was built, it is said that in 1911, the then Maharani of Mysore pledged her personal jewels to ensure that the construction activity won't stop. So it is that kind of a history we have in ensuring that, we get good drinking water and water for our irrigation and other purposes. So that is history. It got nothing to do with what I'm speaking now. But see, let us go very technical. To say, throw an outlay saying that will be hampered, this will be disturbed, there is an environment, all said and done. Yes, I agree. But see, this is also a fact that the Kaveri River Water Tribunal has asked Karnataka to release 177 TMC, 0.25 TMC of water every year to Tamil Nadu. See, this is a truth which you and I cannot deny, or Dr. Krishnamurthy also cannot deny. See, were they not having the other environment concerns in mind? Were they not having the issues that when there is no rain or when there is a drought year, what Karnataka will do? See, nothing of these things was taken into consideration. It is a rule. In tribunal, we accorded the court status. So it is as good as a court order. So when we have an order, so even the tribunal mandates that even during the non-rainy years, the state still has to release this particular amount of water to Tamil Nadu. And as per a study, statistics annually show that 84 TMC of water is wasted into the sea, of Kaveri River water is wasted into the sea. See, it is in that context that, then Siddaramaiah government came up with an idea to build a reservoir here, which will ensure that, around 67 TMC of water is stored. And mind you, this is enough to ensure the potable drinking water of Bangalore, to ensure the needs of potable drinking water of Bangalore for next 20 years. One. Secondly, even from you said that, there is also a power generation that we are doing. See, currently the state is tremendously short of power. In the sense we are purchasing some, to my knowledge, about 100 megawatt, every day there is a short of power in the, I'm talking of the urban area. And we are purchasing it for it, that once we start generating here, that the power generation will also help the state save crores of rupees of money. So it is not just that. See, one thing, bottom line, in many judgments, in so many Supreme Court judgments, I can quote the panelists here, drinking water has topmost priority over environmental concerns. See, I'm not totally denying environment is this thing, but there are certain clauses. If you go through this project draft in full detail, I can refer 3 or 4 clauses which I have here with me, including their date and when it was recommended, when the draft was done, where a proper rehabilitation package plan has been designed as a part of this project, which will ensure the concerns of what Dr. Krishnamurthy is currently saying, or all other environmentalists that they currently have, all these concerns will be met.
So talking about, like you just told, like you mentioned that the water actually, the supply or the importance of water is much more than the environmental impact. On that note, I would like to talk to Professor Nagre. Nagesh Hegde, sorry sir. Let's move on the logistical impact of this project, sir. I would like to talk to you about, can you tell us and can you throw some light on the impact of this project, how beneficial it is, and what do you think will it harm or bring harm to the environment?
When you quoted Jawaharlal Nehru, in his time, yes, it was called temples, but that was the period of ecological innocence. People didn't know the deleterious effect of ecology. Now it is called major dams, or they are not temples but tombs. Now coming to this particular question of Mekedatu, one is downstream effect, another is upstream effect. Okay, when you build a dam, what are the upstream effects? I'll show it here. One is destruction and displacement. You know, there are thousands of acres of forest will be destroyed there, and nearly 4 major villages will be destroyed. What is the second one? Silting. You know, almost every major dam has got a certain lifespan, 35 years, 40 years, 45 years or so. Because continuously, along with water, you get huge quantity of silt. It will slowly be burying the dam itself, reservoir itself. Third one is earthquake possibilities. Fourth one is seepage. When you say you are getting 16 TMC of water to Bangalore, it is not so. Because of the very weight of water, the side, the embankments keep on leaking out water elsewhere. So it is not the quantity that they estimate, but rainfall or absolute drought that we have been experiencing everywhere. So when you make a huge dam and make Bangalore dependent on it, it will be a highly risky thing. In case of excessive flooding, you know what are the other possibilities. There is interstate dispute. Already they are very, very angry with us. They bring court cases, etc., etc. These are the major ones. Now, let me tell you what it is. During the construction itself, forget about later effect, you require millions of tons of huge boulders. You know, the estimation is that 1,000 tons of dynamite will have to be exploded. You can't explode a valley itself. You have to explode it elsewhere, in different areas, maybe 5 kilometers away, 10 kilometers away. You blast it, bring those huge boulders over here. Then you require sand. Where will you get it sand? You have to empty many rivers to bring sand here. Then you require cement. Then you require concrete. Then you require a huge labor colony for tens of years. It's not a matter of 1 or 2 years. So these are the ones which will have very serious effect for decades together. Most importantly, see, this is the newspaper, Down to Earth. In its latest issue, it has warned about the faults. Faults means deep cracks in the river valley itself, which means the water either will seep out into this, or there will be a possibility of having earthquake there. For example, right here at the Sangam, Arkavati merges with Kaveri water, there's a deep fault there. It's very, very dangerous. Secondly, there's this Kaveri river also has got, it runs almost parallel to the Kaveri river. Third one is right across the dam area, you have deep faults. These are the ecological problems that we are going to have it. And quickly, let me go through all this. Do I have a time or shall I pick up the rest of the thing? One most ridiculous thing is here. See, you have water here. Let me go back to the earlier slide. You have water here around Bangalore, around Ramnagara, around Kanakpura, all around 800 millimeters of water. All that water goes down here to Mekedatu, and you build a dam there and bring all the water back to this place.
So these,
most ridiculous.
yes, sir.
Economically also, it is most ridiculous.
These insights actually tell us how impactful this project will, how impactful this project is, and what impact it will also bring it to the environment. So with the first round of the debate, we have received very contrasting views, which give us different perspective to understand the issue better. Coming back to you, Dr. Krishnamurthy, would you like to oppose any of the views which has been discussed earlier?
ಮೇಡಮ್, ನಾನು ಹೇಳೋದೇನಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಲ್ ಈ ಮೇಕೆದಾಟು ಯೋಜನೆಯ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ರೂಪುರೇಷೆಗಳನ್ನ ಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಡಿ.ಕೆ. ಶಿವಕುಮಾರ್ MLA ಇನ್ ದಿ ಕನಕಪುರ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂನ್ಸಿ, ಅವರು ಒಂದು ದಟ್ ಸಮ್ ಸರೌಂಡ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಜೊತೆ ಒಂದು ಮೀಟಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಯ್ತು, ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಈಗಾಗಿದೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ. ಏಕಾಏಕಿ ಇವರು ಒಂದು ಯೋಜನೆಗಳನ್ನ ಹೋರಾಟಗಳನ್ನ ನಂಬ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅದು ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ಲೇಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು ಒಪ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ ಬೇಕು ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಸಣ್ಣ ಪುಟ್ಟ ಸಮುದಾಯಗಳು, ಒಂದು 2000-4000 ಪೀಪಲ್ಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ದೇರ್. ಬಟ್ ಆದ್ರೆ ಬಹಳ ಪ್ರಮುಖವಾಗಿ ಏನಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ರಿಹಾಬಿಲಿಟೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಗ್ಯಾರಂಟಿ ಇಲ್ಲ ಈ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ಒಳಗಡೆ. ಇವತ್ತಿನವರೆಗೂ ಸ್ವತಂತ್ರ ಬಂದು 75 ವರ್ಷಗಳಾದ್ರೂ ಇಲ್ಲಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಟ್ರೈಬ್ಸ್ ಗಳಿಗೆ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ನ್ಯಾಯ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ ಇವರು. ಒಂದು ಇವತ್ತಿನವರೆಗೂ ಮೂಲಭೂತ ಸೌಕರ್ಯ ಇನ್ಫ್ರಾಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಕೆಲಸಗಳು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕುಡಿಯೋ ನೀರು, ಡ್ರಿಂಕಿಂಗ್ ವಾಟರ್ಸ್, ಪವರ್ಸ್, ನೋ ಪವರ್ಸ್, ರೋಡ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಹಟ್ಸ್, ಮನೆಗಳಿಲ್ದಂಗೆ ಅದು ಹೌಸಸ್ಗಳಿಲ್ದಂಗೆ ಬದುಕ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ ನಾವು. ಇಂಥ ಸಂದರ್ಭಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿದ್ದವ್ರನ್ನ, ನಮ್ಮ ಸಮುದಾಯದವ್ರನ್ನ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಹಾಕಿ ಇವರು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ರಾಜಕಾರಣಿಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ವಿಶ್ವಾಸ ಇಲ್ಲ ಈ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಂಗೆ. ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಯಾರಿಗೋ ನೀರ್ ಕೊಡೋಕೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಬದುಕನ್ನ ಹಾಳು ಮಾಡೋದು ಎಷ್ಟು ಸರಿ? ನಿಮ್ಮ ಆತರ 10 ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಒಳ್ಳೇದಾಗತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಓಕೆ, ಒಪ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ. ಬಟ್ ಆದ್ರೆ ಅದರಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮ ಬದುಕುಗಳು ಮೂರಾಬಟ್ಟೆ ಆಗೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಪಿನಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಗಳೇನು? ಒಂದು ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಈ ಯೋಜನೆಯ ಕುರಿತು ನಾವು ಒಂದು ಹೋರಾಟ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇದನ್ನ ರಾಜಕೀಯ ಪ್ರೇರಿತ ಬಳಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದಂತ ಜನ ಸಮುದಾಯದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಗಮನದ, ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ಇವ್ರನ್ನ ಎದುರಾಕೊಂಡು ಯಾರು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಶಕ್ತಿ ಇಲ್ದಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಸಂದರ್ಭಗಳನ್ನೇ ಬಳಕೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ದೊಡ್ಡದಲ್ಲ. ಒಂದು ಸಾಮಾಜಿಕ ನ್ಯಾಯದ ಹಿತದೃಷ್ಟಿಯಿಂದ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು, ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಒಂದು ರಿಯಾಲಿಟೈಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಅವ್ರಿಗೊಂದು ಭರವಸೆ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಆ ಭರವಸೆ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ನಾವು, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಈಗ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೋ ಒಂದಿಷ್ಟು ನಮಗೆ ಅರಣ್ಯ ಇಲಾಖೆ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ 2 ರಿಂದ 3 ಎಕರೆ 2 or 3 acres ಗಿವ್ ದ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಫಾರ್ 2006 ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್, ಅದರಿಂದ ನಮಗೆ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದೆ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿರೋದ್ರೆ ನಾವೀಗ ಒಂದಷ್ಟು ಉಳುಮೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಒಂದಷ್ಟು ಕುರಿ, ಮೇಕೆ, ಹಸುಗಳನ್ನ ಸಾಕಾಣಿಕೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಒಂದಿಷ್ಟು ನೆಮ್ಮದಿಯಾಗಿದ್ದೀವಿ ನಮ್ದೇ ಆದಂತ ಬದುಕುಗಳಲ್ಲಿ. ನೀವೀಗ ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮನ್ನ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಡ್ತೀರಾ? ಈಗ ಇರೋರ್ಗೆ ನೀವೇನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ಮೇಲೆ ನಮ್ಮನ್ನ ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಹಾಕಿದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಏನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀರಾ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಬಹಳ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಆಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು.
Thank you so much for your insight, sir. So just carrying on the debate forward, Mr. Sudhindra, sir, it is often also seen that whenever development projects come up, environmental concerns are cited as a major hurdle. What are your views on this?
Actually, with due respects to what Mr. Nagesh Hegde said, I agree to each and every point of what he said. There is absolutely no way that any rightful person with a rightful mind can dispute any of the points that he said. But you tell me one dam, or you tell me a place where such an activity takes place, and you can't, you can forego the chances of earthquake, you can forego the chances of seepage, you can forego the chances of reverse fertility. See, this is a process that comes along with this package. Today, you are constructing a metro in Bangalore. You are taking off around 7,000, 8,000 trees. I mean, see, one thing has to pay the price for another to come up. This is the rule. I mean, even if you take it in the naturally, it is that way. Even if the way, as far as development, it is this way. So to quote something which is happening naturally as a major cause, I again said what he said is absolutely right. But you tell me, show me one dam where all these causes, whatever is listed, does not apply. It applies everywhere. I mean, he is very true. He is very right. But then just based on those kind of things, we can't stop dam construction. Just imagine, see, this project will end the water crisis of entire drought prone areas, not just Bangalore. We will see the people. One thing, please remove from everybody from your mind that, it's only to Bangalore, that it's been overfed that Bangalore. See, Ramnagar, Magdi, Chikballapur, Dodballapur, Yelahanka, Bangalore urban, Bangalore rural, Hoskote, up to Hoskote, all these parameters, we get 67 TMC of water annually you can get. In non-rainy years, and during the rainy years, it can go up to 100 TMC also. That is huge.
Yes, sir. On the panel where we have seen panelists talking about the environmental impact which the Mekedatu project will have, and also about the benefits which the Mekedatu project will have, I would request Professor Hegde, sir, can you shed some light of the people-friendly or eco-friendly solution to this problem?
Shubhangi, Mr. Sudhindra was nice enough to talk about the interest of Magdi people, Ramnagar people, and Kollegala people, etc. But probably he has ignored the fact that Magdi receives 1,000 millimeter water rainfall every year. Ramnagar receives anything between 800 to 900 to 1,000. If they could collect the water there itself, it's just good enough. As far as Bangalore is concerned, scientists from Indian Institute of Science have shown again and again the amount of that water that we are wasting in Bangalore. The wastewater is just simply let go to Tamil Nadu or elsewhere. And then the amount of water that we could accumulate in the lakes, 120 lakes or around, if you could desilt them, accumulate water, the rainwater here itself, it gives double the total estimated quantity of water from Mekedatu. Double. Why don't they do it? If they could, suppose if they clean up all the lakes around here, you will have lots of fish, lots of birds, you will have garden area, you will have quite a good weather in Bangalore all the time. It will remain cool. so ecologically sensible area. Same thing can be done in Ramnagar also. Cold water, whatever rainfall, you know what, 800 millimeter of rainfall is equal to 80 lakh cubic feet of water in that area. Such a huge quantity. Why do you let it go all the way to Kaveri and Mekedatu and build a dam there and bring it all the way here, wasting all your electricity, steel, cement, etc., etc.? I still think it is a game to collect a lot of money in this process. It's the contractors, it's the engineers, it's the politicians' plot to make a build a huge one. World has long ago said goodbye to major dams. It's the local area, you catch the water there, you reprocess whatever water you have, and then make it people. I can show you a very interesting link about Singapore example I can do. Singapore, it doesn't have lakes all around itself. It has sea. It doesn't have enough water for it. What it does, it captures the rain, every millimeter of it, and 30% of its requirement is fulfilled by rainwater. The remaining 30% is recycled from the used water. It's so clean, the recycled water, you can drink it there. And the other 30% they import from Malaysia, and whatever little shortfall is there, they desalinate the seawater. It is mostly the rainwater and it's mostly the wastewater that is recycled, and they never fall short of it. Why can't we emulate this kind of thing?
So raising the question about proper implementation of proper uses of rainwater rather than using a project like Mekedatu, Professor Nagesh Hegde sir, you have shared very useful insights. With this, we come to an end of our debate show on D3. Thank you so much. It has been a pleasure having all of you on our show and listening to your very contrasting yet useful views. Thank you so much for your time and your insights, sir. This is your host, Shubhangi Mishra. We'll be back next time with another hot issue. Until then, keep watching Citycast. Thank you.